Hi everybody, and welcome back to Kimbo's Comfort Kitchen. And today we are going to do one of my childhood favorites, which is Danish pancakes. They're similar to the Dutch pancakes, but they're not as thick. They're similar to the French pancakes, but they're more flavorful. But don't tell my French and my Dutch friends that. So my Fatma used to make awesome pancakes, and we would stuff them with all sorts of things. You can put a compote in it. It's like sweet. Generally speaking, it was always sweet. So you put a jam. Sometimes you put whipped cream on top, but it depends what part of Denmark you're from, because some people in Copenhagen would look at you and go, "What? Why would you put whipped cream on top of a pancake?" But in Jylland, we did, or at least some of us did. So that's the deal. I'll tell you what, if I haven't made these for a long time, so I have a confession. The first one I made, the first video that I did on it, I'd forgotten half the crap that I should have been doing that I didn't do. So I had to go back and rework it. So this video is going to show you a bulletproof way to make Danish pancakes. If I can make it, you can make it. They're very tasty. Fill them with jam, all sorts of sweet stuff. You can put chocolate. I mean, we put chocolate inside, we put jam inside, we put fresh fruit inside, top it with cinnamon, sugar, all sorts of things. I'm going to do a follow-up video which is also going to cover savory, and I'm going to do a fusion of Danish pancakes with a Normandy fusion version of savory. So stay tuned, and it's not the most riveting video, but it will show you all the tricks and how to do this, so as I said, that it's bulletproof. So let's get going. Okay, so let's get going. As always, we want to make sure our mise en place is done ahead of time. It makes things a lot easier. So I've got sugar, okay, cardamom, which is optional, but very Danish, and some beer, lemon zest, 3 eggs, milk, flour, butter, and a pinch of salt. And this is what we're going to start with. Okay, so I have just sifted some flour, the flour that you saw before, and we don't want lumpy lumps. We don't need those. So I'm going to make a bit of a well here in the center to start with, and I'm going to take the eggs, and I'm just going to start to incorporate that. A little bit of time. Oh, look, lumps. Well, let's see what we can do about that. I'm sure we can figure that out. And incorporate this in. You see the magic happening here. Kind of the way you start pasta, isn't it? Well, this is not going to be pasta. These are going to be Danish pancakes. Eventually. We just keep taking more and more. Seems a little tedious, doesn't it? But it's going to be worth it. Trust me. You can see this is starting to incorporate now. And once I've got this going like that, I'm going to add milk, a little bit. You can tell I'm not Italian, but that's okay. A little bit more milk. Not too much at a time. You guys can always skip ahead if you find this really boring. but I got to do this. So obviously it's still a bit thick, but that's okay. Now, some people would have said to add the dry ingredients at the very beginning, which you can always do. But to me, at this point, it really doesn't make any difference. I mean, once I add all the liquid in, adding the dry ingredients, it doesn't matter. It's going to be a moot point. But from a technical standpoint, I'm sure there are people out there that are going to say, well, you should have put in the dry ingredients. Well, okay, the sugar and the salt, big deal. Cardamom, I put it in when it's liquid anyway. Got a little bit of residual egg here. And then the last of the milk. Now we're starting to get the consistency that we're looking for. I'm going to add the beer. I'm going to hold a little bit in reserve just in case it's too thin. There we go. The sugar. And we're going to do a pinch of salt. Don't forget the salt. That's pretty important. Don't need much, but in the cardamom, don't need much salt, but if you miss it, you're really going to notice it. It's amazing what a small ingredient can do to change this. All right. And then we're going to put in the lemon zest, which again is optional, but I really like it. I like what it adds to it. It's a bit of a je ne sais quoi in the batter. I mean, you can't tell it's there, but. And then the last part is I'm putting in some melted butter, which will help it along when we put it in the pan. And you'll see what I mean. Means I don't have to add butter every time, believe it or not. Okay. Thanks for putting up with that. There we go. Looks pretty good to me. And we are going to go ahead and heat the pan up. I'll be right back. Okay, so let's go with the first one, which is always the diciest one. I'm just going to rub, this is a non-stick pan, but I'm just going to rub a little bit of butter on here anyway. And just like regular pancakes in North America, the first crepe or Danish pancake or Dutch pancake, whatever, the first one usually doesn't come out the way you want. But let's see what happens. I don't know why. That's my saying of the day today. I don't know why. All right, so I think the pan's hot enough. Let's try. So what we're gonna do, the trick with the ladle is to, don't put it in the center, put it in the corner, and then swish it around. There we go. And we're gonna let this set. Not too bad. I'm getting a nice lace pattern on the edges here. This might actually turn out pretty good for a first one. So we're just gonna let that go. It could have been a little thinner there. It's not quite perfectly even, but it's pretty darn close. And I let this batter sit for about 20 minutes. You don't have to. Some people say an hour. I don't. I just did 20 minutes because I had other things I wanted to do in between. And I wanted to wait for the pan to heat up. So that's what happened. You can test the edges a bit. You can see how thin it is. It's kind of like watching paint dry, isn't it? I know it's a riveting episode, but it's what you got. Besides, it tastes so good, it's worth the wait. So I'm going to wait for these to bubble a little bit. More of this is just showing you how the texture is before you start to worry about it. It's not moving yet. He says with great confidence. That's pretty nice. It should be able, when it's ready to go, it'll be able to slide across the pan. Like that. Only not quite yet. It did slide, believe it or not. Make sure your hands are clean, of course. And now I'm going to show you the trick to how to flip these little babies. Now, the pros, of course, they like to show off and do the whole big pan flip and everything, but for some reason with pancakes, I always screw it up. So I came up with a different way, and it's a lot easier. But I'm going to let this, see how it's released now? I'm going to let this toughen up, as it were, a little bit more. I want to get a little bit brown on one side. And you can check it like that. Nada. Patience is a virtue, they say. But trust me, this is going to be an amazing dense panacea, or Danish pancakes. Now these are going to be thinner than the Dutch make, and probably about the same consistency as a French crepe. Pretty close anyway. And in another episode, I'm going to do savory as well. I'll show you a fusion pancake from taking recipe from Normandy. They like to make savory pancakes, and I really personally I like using the Danish recipe for the crepe or the Danish pancake over the French one, simply because it has more depth in its flavor. So now when I flip it over, I'm just going to take it like that and like that. And that's it. Now I could have let this go a little darker, but that's okay. It's going to cook over on the other side. But I've got more or less the consistency I wanted. Like I said, it's a little thick here if we're going to be really picky. But that's okay. It's my first one of the day, and I haven't made these in ages. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. I'm sure you noticed there was still a little bit of lumps in there, which at the end of the day, again, once this is cooked out, you won't even notice it. So from a professional standpoint, I probably would have lost points, but if I'm making this at home for my Kimbo's Comfort Kitchen, they're going to be just fine. Yeah, I'm getting the darkness now on the other side that I want. A little browning like that is actually perfect. I'm putting it back on the other one because I want that one a little bit darker. But you get the picture. I'm going to do one more, if you can bear it. All right, so let's try this again. With a warmed pan. It's almost exactly one ladle. Sure, doesn't want to come out that one spot. There. Ta-da! Now I just don't want to have any lumps. Okay, so you get the picture, and I'll get back to you as soon as I flip this. Okay, about 3-4 minutes have gone by. You can see that it's lifted, so let's check that. And there you go. That's the color. And I'll get back when this is cooked for another minute, and you can see what the final product looks like. And there you have it, Danish pancake. And now I'm going to show you what we do with it and how we're going to eat it. Okay, so let's take one of our beautiful little Danish pancakes, and I've got some fresh blueberry jam that I made. spread that around willy-nilly. You see that? Yeah. Just make sure you spread it to the edges, or at least 2 edges, like that. And for texture, I'm going to add some banana chips, because I like the crunch. Now you can put strawberry jam, you can make your own compote. There's all sorts of things you can do. You put it, use your imagination. But this is basically what you end up with. And I'm going to do another one just like it, so hold on. All right, so now that I've made 2 of them, just like that, and I'm going to put some cinnamon sugar over the top of them. And just for fun, make it look good, I'm going to take a little bit of icing sugar. And just for decoration. There you go. And that's it. That's Danish Pancakes. I hope you enjoy this. And if you like what you see, please subscribe. I got lots more. And I'm going to be doing another one on savory, which is more of a fusion between this and Normandy. All right, take care. Bye.